back and study Reich. Prior to that, I had no interest in Reich. But I wondered, well, God, I mean, could Einstein have missed in 1941 a profound discovery? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Yep.
We cover this in our issue 37. He brought it to Einstein. Einstein confirmed, I repeat, confirmed that there was a 0.3 of a degree or more elevation on the Faraday cage. But his assistant, Einstein's assistant, Leopold Infeld, poo-pooed it. He did some half-baked experiments to suggest that, oh, yes, it's a simple explanation as to why this elevated temperature is there. And he pushed Einstein away from thinking about it, and thus broke the connection, the critical connection between Einstein and Reich, which if it had persisted, and if Einstein had behaved himself and continued the correspondence, Reich did write many letters, technical letters, to Einstein, pleading with him to reevaluate the assertions, the glib assertions of Leopold Infeld. Much as today in the late 20th century and early 21st, we are pleading with scientists and political leaders to reevaluate the absurd, glib dismissal of cold fusion. Well, Einstein never did that. And so Reich went much further with this energy, the manifestation of ether energy, which initially was this elevated thermal anomaly on a very simple experiment. So just like Galileo, with his experiment of dropping a cannonball and a smaller object from the Leaning Tower of Pisa,
right.
A very simple experiment showing simultaneous arrival at the ground, making a profound change in paradigm, a simple experiment with a thermometer, which I have done myself, by the way, to my own satisfaction in my own basement, and found the same persisting thermal anomaly. And that's not all. When you elaborate that simple experiment and other experiments that Reich did with electroscopes, gold leaf electroscopes, you find huge anomalies occurring in Faraday cages. And Dr. Paulo and Alexandra Correa have in their laboratory done many further experiments to clarify some of the many, many confusions that Reich himself had about this. They have established the irrefutable presence of an ether, a mass-free ether that can be analyzed with thermometers, electroscopes, which shows that it is possible to make little motors that work on it. Earlier, they had this patented technology that I referred to called the PAGD, which has 3 U.S. patents, 1 Israel patent, and so forth, that have pulses occurring in vacuum between aluminum plates in a glass cylinder and produce more energy out than in.
Would you say that this ether is a normal occurrence in the universe?
It is,
and it's a natural thing?
It's the foundation of the universe. There is no other foundation of the universe. The myth of relativity, and relativity is wrong, it is incorrect. Indeed, its equations describe certain experiments, accelerator experiments, very accurately. There's no doubt about that.
An outcome, I guess, right?
But the theory can be wrong. In other words, an equation can give you a very precise match between an experimental result in an accelerator, as an example, and the theory, but that does not mean that the theory is fundamentally correct. In fact, it is fundamentally absolutely wrong. There is no such thing as non-simultaneity and so forth. It's all, unfortunately, a myth. One thing is for sure: if you have a motor that is working, as I have seen in their laboratory, off an orgone accumulator, in other words, one wire coming from a Faraday cage, running a motor through special electronics, patent applied for, it's not patented yet, okay? And this motor is running from an orgone accumulator, that is from an ether accumulator of latent heat, as they would say, latent heat from the ether, as one component of the ether. That's it. That ends the whole entire myth of special relativity.
Well, is there any exhaust coming off this
No,
motor?
Nothing. There's nothing.
So
the only thing that the Correas insist upon as far as correspondence one very fundamental law that we're all aware of, the conservation of energy law. They are 100% behind the conservation of energy. Their physics is an energy-based physics. Time and space are subsets of energy. Energy is the primary reality of the universe. The energetic ether is the primary reality of the universe.
It's not an outcome of a combination.
It is not right. Mass. Okay, the mass energy that there is also in nuclear reactions comes ultimately from the energy of the ether. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as a particle that is a point particle with a mass. So currently, modern physics says, the electron is an infinitesimal point that has a charge and that has a mass. And everyone in physics, from the most advanced universities to the lowliest high school student, learns that the electron charge is equal to the proton charge, equal and opposite sign, okay? And that it has a certain mass, which is about 2,000 times less than that of the proton, and that it has a spin and so forth. But this infinitesimal point is a fiction. It's an absolute fiction. Electrons have structure. They are structured ether constructs. And protons are too, and all the other particles are. They're really, for all practical purposes, can be no other generic kind of explanation. I am not suggesting, by the way, that Dr. Correa and Alexandra have the ultimate perfect theory, nor would they. Okay, they're open to criticism. They have a website where people can discuss things with them. But I must tell you that they are very definitely going substantially in the right direction. They are publishing work which is exemplary, pioneering, and I hope someday they are blessed with a reward for it. Because up to this point, all they've been rewarded by is abuse.
Now,
in fact, abuse even by people in the cold fusion field, I regret to say.
That's interesting.
Right. It's like, it's even the new energy field, I regret to say, has had turf wars, and they're stupid.
Sure.
Okay?
There's politics and everything.
Right. But ether, as far as advanced space flight, will seriously have to revise the Starflight Handbook someday.
And what does it do in terms of speed, Eugene?
There's no limitation on speed. The myth of no massful object could go faster than the speed of light is just that. It's a myth. It's observed in accelerators that you have to put more and more energy in to accelerate electrons. There's no doubt about that, okay? And you do reach a limitation if you're accelerating electrons with the kind of a way they do it in accelerators. But fundamentally, there is no limit for a spaceship made out of mass, okay, namely us or a rocket ship, to go as fast as we would ever particularly want it to go.
Well, and in that
hundreds of times faster than the speed of light.
Then you may indeed be a time traveler.
No, because there's another myth of relativity. The twin paradox is also a myth. Okay, it is just wrong. The time dilation is not part of the universe. It just isn't. No matter how many times they will tell you about muons changing their decay patterns, coming through the atmosphere, and so forth, and this proves supposedly time dilation. They can say it as long as they want, but there is no such thing. Time dilation is a myth.
Why do you believe that there was not a Big Bang that kicked everything into gear?
Okay,
by the way,
a lot of reasons, completely independent of theories of ether energy, totally independent of that.
I don't necessarily believe that either, by the way.
Well, okay, but all one has to do is observe, read an excellent book that we sell by the famous astronomer Halton Arp, A-R-P, who has made observations of quasars that are associated with galaxies. And these quasars, which indeed appear to be provably associated with the galaxies, have high redshift, meaning by standard understanding that they would be very far away.
Sure.
The galaxy has lower redshift, and that means it's much closer by standard understandings. Now, he proved through all his observations, multiple observations, that these are common, and that we have to take seriously the idea that the redshift is not a cosmological expansion of the universe whatsoever.